here in the workshop in Strasbourg with Matthieu, the man behind Shellopan. So Matthieu, very quickly, is a builder, a tuner, a player, and he is also now a supplier of knowledge and raw material to many of the makers around in, well, not just Europe, but the world. You know?
Maybe a little further than Europe, yes.
Something like this. So yeah, I suppose a good question would be to say, who are you?
Well, that's a good question. I'm just someone passionate about handpan. We discovered the instrument maybe a little more than 12 years ago.
12 years?
Yeah, and as I'm passionate about technology and technical stuff, I try to understand how it works in that instrument. And I found that it was much more passionate. I have been much more passionate after that. And so I try to learn how to tune, how to build the instrument. And now I'm working with this Fab Lab to try to help people to build the instrument, to make it a little more accessible.
Wonderful.
That's the main idea.
Excellent. So you say 12 years. You saw 12 years before you saw the instrument for the first time.
I saw the first time the instrument.
So was that like 2000 and?
2005 or 4,
okay.
Something like that. And it took me 1 year to find the name of the instrument.
Oh, really?
Yes, the original name. There was no YouTube
yeah, of course.
at that time.
Those days. Yeah.
And yeah, to find only the name of the instrument. So
wow.
Yeah, that was funny.
Wow, I was very lucky in this way then, because I saw the first handpan I saw was 2005.
Yeah.
And luckily I became a good friend with the boy who was the player.
Yeah.
And then one day I look inside and I see the sticker inside of the instrument. So that's how I got the original address for the makers.
Yes, that was easier. Yeah. For me it was only a video.
Wow.
Someone came with a video, shows a video to me. Oh, really nice instrument. Oh, really nice. What's the name? No idea. Ah!
Oh, amazing.
It was so funny.
Wow. Wow. So at what point did you go from being a simple, I say a simple, but at what time did you go from being a player of the instrument to being actually someone who's working hands-on, like tuning? Like when did you first take the hammer and?
Oh, my first hammer stroke, it was on a real walk. It was the easiest way to find.
From the kitchen.
Yeah, a real walk from the kitchen.
Excellent.
And yeah, maybe it was 7 years ago. 7 or 8 years ago now.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I started to try to understand what happens with the stress inside the steel, and yeah, it was a long story for me, and it takes a lot of time to be able to make instruments. For me, it was a really long story.
Excellent. So where were you when you first started? Like in the kitchen? Or?
Oh no, it was a kind of a collective workshop where I can make a lot of noise.
That's
good. It was, of course, really noisy. And quite quickly I wanted to build a shell, but not with the old technique. I tried to find, okay, what kind of tools I can imagine to make shells without breaking my joints, breaking my muscles. And so I built some tools to do shells. So that's why today I am providing shells for some other people.
It's amazing, yeah. So the shells you're providing, I mean myself included, I've also taken a few of your shells. But I mean right now, obviously inside Europe, the majority of your shipping is inside Europe. Most of the people.
Yeah, most of the people are inside Europe, but not only Europe.
Yeah, because
some of them are in India, some of them in USA. So
amazing.
Yeah, quite everywhere.
Interesting, yeah. Because I mean I've seen quite a few new builders. Jan Borran, Ralph, Meraki, Asail, they're all using the shells which are being developed by yourself. So yeah, it's quite amazing. I'm seeing like you're really working for the community aspect of this instrument, you know, which is a beautiful thing. But like, how much would you say of your time currently goes into the manufacture of shells for other people who are obviously making their own instruments and then selling, and how much time you give to your instruments that you're building? Do you find a good balance between the two, or are you looking to?
Making the shell is not a lot of time. It has been a lot of time at the beginning of the project because I had to design the tools. I was working with other makers to design the shape of the shell, working with Ralph, with other people, and we choose the size, the exact size we wanted to have. And after that, developing the tools, upgrading the tools, trying to understand how to make slippage of the steel, to have a good thickness repartition all around the material. So at that time it was really a lot of work. No, it's a little easier. I'm working with a kind of ecosystem of company. All is well organized. Supplier of steels, a guy who is making the steel flat, the guy who is cutting, laser cutting the steels, people who are working on the big press to deep drone the shell. Yeah, so it's a kind of ecosystem, and I'm able to. I cannot buy steel every time. It's hard to find the good steel. So sometimes during 4 months I cannot produce shell just because I don't find the good steel that I want to have. And so yeah, it's hard to say exactly how much time I take with this activity, how much time for making. But yeah, it's
interesting. So so you say that the mixture of the steel, you like one specific mixture,
yeah,
if you like, of the steel.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe that's DC04.
A lot of people know DC04. It's a European name for that kind of steel. This name of steel is well known since Borran published information about this steel. But this norm, the quality, the range of the quality, chemical and physical characteristic of the steel, the range is really too wide, and my need is really smaller, more precise information. So the name of the steel is absolutely not enough to choose, choose the steel.
Yeah,
so you can think that it's easy to buy steel. Of course, it's easy, but buying the steel you want, it's a little harder.
And like you just say, like for the different times you're producing, like maybe you buy in January of one year, is the perfect. You go back in September.
You can absolutely not have the same steel.
Yeah, exactly.
One coil for the steel provider, one coil is sold in 1 week or 2 weeks.
Wow.
So after that you have a new production, something else. And it's really hard to have many times the same steel. And 1 unit of steel material is 2.5 tons.
2.5 tons?
Yeah, one packet is 2.5 tons.
Wow.
And one coil is approximately 25 tons. So I cannot buy a full coil.
A full coil is 25 tons.
Yeah.
Wow.
But in the future we wanted to have 1.1 millimeter thickness.
Okay.
And for that kind of thickness I need to produce my own coil.
Wow.
Of steel, but
that's 25 tons of steel.
Yeah, but so there is a level of risk that I have to manage. So I know approximately what kind of steel characteristic, chemical, physical I want, but I'm really a really small company for steel manufacturers.
Of course, yeah.
So it's hard to say, okay, I want that. I'm really someone small for that.
Completely, because they're going to give the choice of the metal. For instance, in the past, I bought a vehicle which was coming from the police.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize this, but when the police are buying the vehicle from the manufacturing company, they say to the guys, okay, look, we don't want like the builder van, the construction van, the metal they use on the vans sometimes for the construction, like when it's a cheap vehicle, it has the rust is coming very fast.
Yeah.
Whereas when they buy a police vehicle, they actually have like a better mix of metals, which means that it's more rust resistant. So that's why it's always nice to buy the ex-army, ex-police vans, because the mixture of the metal is normally a little bit tweaked.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a little bit similar.
Okay.
But you say 25 tons of steel. I mean, how much steel do you think you've gone through in supplying everybody who's using the Shellopan shells at this stage? Like how many? I see quite a few boxes outside, obviously. That.
Okay. Maybe it's not a number that I can communicate
right
now because I'm providing shell for people maybe who don't want to.
That
people know that they are taking shell at my place, so it's not a problem for me. I just want to say that it's a big chance to be many makers with the same material, because we can see that we are all able to make really different instruments. And,
everyone's tuning technique is completely different. The setup, the software, the hammers.
Yeah, the way the maker is playing with his hammer, it's completely different. So we are really able to make different instruments, but there is something in common coming from the steel in the sound timbre, and we have a lot of knowledge to learn. We still don't know a lot of information, and working with other people, we can have different material every year, and so we can progress with this knowledge. So that's something useful, I think.
Yeah, it's very true. Very true. Yeah, like you say about sharing knowledge. I mean, myself, I've been in the workshop of a few different makers now, and I must admit, I'm very inspired myself. It's been paining me for the last 10 years since I began to play. that if something on my own instrument doesn't sound perfect, I cannot go inside and tune it.
Yeah.
You know, so baby steps. You know, so it's yeah, it's quite amazing to see already the dedication that everyone's been putting in, and to see the level of discovery, because everybody, like I say, is making slightly different processes. Maybe the tool that one person is using in one country isn't available in the other country. So yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting to see how it's panning out. You know, it's coming around. So.
And every step, when you are making this instrument, every step is connected, so you cannot use the technique of one guy, the other technique of one guy, try to connect them. You need to integrate the information and to make your own.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I spotted that very early on.
And you work on this one, so if you want, you want to retune?
Off I go, yeah.
It's your work.
So we should say actually, so this is one handpan, which Matthieu has been helping. So 2 days ago, I arrived here. The shell was, well, a raw shell. I won't touch one, but the shell was a raw shell at the time. So we marked on where the notes were going to be placed. We used the big press to press the dimples, and then the air hammer to shape the actual instruments. And then, yeah, so I mean, I was guided during this part, you know, and then Matthieu showed a very small tuning technique to me. And I began, I think I killed it more than, I created a lot of work on this instrument, and then Matthieu has corrected it. So this instrument has been made from, not from raw materials, but from the blank shells in the last, what, like 2.5 days, I think. So, and plus the amount of tuning that went into it was probably twice as much, because it was me who was messing it up. Yeah. You know.
But it's the only way to start.
Yeah, it's the only way to start, and yeah, and I've seen a new technique in the joining of two shells before, because in the past I've only ever seen the gluing of the shells, which can take a week or 2 weeks for the glue to set. Whereas obviously with the technique of welding, which we've just made, it's instant.
Yeah, it has been possible to retune, to fine-tune the instrument just after the welding. The sound is different, but yeah, it's something a little different.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like I say, I mean, I'm amazed. It's something new that I've seen, and yeah, it gives me a good understanding to step forward now, so that's pretty cool. So yeah, I guess, Matthieu, is there anything that you would like to share with anybody who's watching this video? Any nuggets or wisdom or joke?
Let's play all together. We are inventing new kind of community with this instrument, so we just need to continue to play all together, and that's
beautiful.
That's the best.
Excellent. And one thing I will say as well, well, ask actually as well, if anybody is interested in you know, your work here in the Fab Lab and your instruments, I'll put a link in the video, obviously, across.
There is a lot of information on my website. It's not possible to welcome everyone to the Fab Lab because I receive so much people asking. I try to help with the website too, with a lot of information, how to make the tuning station, or all the tools that are needed, stuff like that. So I try to help.
No, you really help. I mean, for me personally as well, on my path to becoming a builder and tuner, yeah, your schematics from the internet have been very helpful. Yeah. And obviously the knowledge and the jokes, so it's very fun.
Great.
So yeah, thank you very kindly. That's the wrap up of a couple of days here in Strasbourg with Matthieu from Shellopan. I think I will be returning before the summer's finished.
Yeah, you have to practice a little more.
Yeah, I have to go away now and clang, 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 clang. So yeah, excellent stuff.
It's yours.
Oh, thank you very much. Excellent.